in the
Goalkeeper.
so as a
Let's do
creative
goalkeeper.
player, one of the questions was asked.
Creative mid.
One of the questions that was asked was literally Aouar question mark, Grealish question mark, Buendia question mark. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
We have a very promising youngster in Emil Smith Rowe is coming through, and personally, it's just me. I think the way we utilize him best is we have someone that can interact with him in that left half space that allows him to drift in and out of each half space. So he can interact with Saka in the right half space. He can interact with the man I'm going to say in the left half space. He basically allows him to drift, he allows him to dribble, and allows him to penetrate and get balls into our fullbacks or our centre forward, and that will be Aouar. But the question is he available? And the question is, how is Brahim Aouar and his situation impacting the deal? So, ideally, Aouar.
So you say Aouar over Buendia on the left?
Over Buendia.
Okay.
On the left, yes.
Okay, Z, I'm guessing you say Aouar as well.
No, 100% no. Okay, I think the common misconception is, we're trying to compare Aouar and Buendia, when essentially they are two different profiles. We can compare Buendia more as a right winger, or someone that attacks the right half space, compared to Aouar, who can operate as an 8, as a left attacking midfielder, and actually most recently in the Champions League we saw him play in a pivot with Ndombele against Manchester City. So he can also play different roles. So why not get both? Why not get both the team? Because that will help our team progress a lot more. But if it meant that I had to choose one over the other, for me, just because of pure numbers, I'd have to choose Buendia, because I feel like he's that one player that can.
Did you say Buendia?
Yeah, 100%. Because I have to say, this season in the Championship, he's got what 15 goals, 16 assists, or it's probably the other way around, and those numbers can't be ignored. It can't be ignored, and I feel like he can actually do at least something very similar, or something of that number for Arsenal. And again, when I'm looking at someone like Aouar, is he a player that's going to transform our team in terms of assists and goals? I personally don't think so. Someone like Grealish can, but not Aouar. So for me, if it was either between Buendia or Aouar, it has to be Buendia. But why not just get both in?
Okay. Carys.
Yeah, it's funny because of me and CK, actually we had this debate a day before this pod being aired, and like the others have said, I think it'd be best if we actually got both Aouar and Buendia. Aouar, kind of your guy that he operates in the left half space quite a lot. I said to him that he reminds me a little bit of Iniesta in his style of play, like the close control, the way he links play together. Like him and Smith Rowe would definitely be on the same wavelength for sure, and I think they'd vibe well together. Then you have Buendia, who also operates in the right half space to let Max Aaron's overlap. I think a lot of doubt over Buendia comes from the fact that they've seen him play mostly on the right, and they're not sure if he could play centrally. But I believe that the characteristics he has, like his close control, his eye for a free ball, I think they would translate very well in centre. And he could even play as a number 8, as he did in the Premier League when Norwich were there against Man City. Like he did very well carrying the ball up quite a few distances. He's also a player that, going backwards as well, he's very intense in the tackle. Maybe something there's a little bit of petulance there, but he is somebody that will also work hard for the team as well as create quite a lot. But like someone said earlier, I just feel like you can't ignore Buendia's pure numbers that he's putting up on the pitch. Like we've kind of missed that ever since the likes of Ozil and Ramsey have left the club. Like his creativity in terms of chances created ranks him almost into the likes of De Bruyne, the likes of Jack Grealish himself, who should be our top target, but it's probably not going to happen. But yeah, you just can't really ignore those numbers. But to be honest, I wouldn't be upset with either of them, even though I do like Buendia a little bit more.
Okay. Zico, who would you say?
It's a tough one, but I'd actually agree with Z. Get both of them in. It just gives that more flexibility. I'm a big fan of Buendia. Like the guy has got it all: ball progression, tackles, chance creation. The last time he was in the league, in the Premier League, only Kevin De Bruyne beat his top creator XG. So like he gives us option on the right. The only worry with Buendia is I've never seen him play on the left, but I've heard that he did start off on the left. Whereas with Aouar, I feel like that left space is his, and he would 22 million is like just a bargain. You have to take it. So for me, I just take both. That flexibility from a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1 is right there.
Okay.
If it's both, okay. If it's both, I thought we were doing either or. If it's both, then obviously both.
I think we all
But-
agree we take both. I think we all.
If it's both, then obviously both. But if we're talking one or the other, then I would go with Aouar. That's my position.
If it was one, yeah, if it was one or the other, I'd pick Aouar. Aouar's my first choice.
Mine too.
George, I know you've been waiting. So
Here we go.
George, who would you say now? If it was either or, Aouar or Buendia?
It has to be Aouar. Listen, I've heard a lot of debates on this, but you know what? Nam said something earlier in the program about partnerships. Okay. And when you look at projection into our team, what is lacking right now? It is creativity in the left half space, not so much the right. And people say, well, George, ESR has played left wing. Lads, he is an attacking midfielder, and he's always started on the left wing, but that was never his long-term position. He is a snappy attacking midfield that will get you goals. And when you're looking at partnerships on the pitch, who is the most complementary front three? So if we're going to run through it, Aouar, Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, or Emile Smith-Rowe, Buendia, Saka. That's essentially the debate when you're looking at like a gun-to-a-head answer, which of the two. And when you're looking at who is most comfortable where, ESR is most comfortable in the center. That is no doubt where he is most comfortable. Now, if I'm going to facilitate who is most comfortable on the pitch, it has to be Aouar, ESR, and Saka. What I use as a metric, though, is I'm a pragmatist at heart. I think a lot of people don't understand this, but really, if I'm up the pitch and I'm attacking with 5 channels, and this is the scenario I want to pose to everybody, okay? We lose the ball in the final third, and I'm asking Buendia or Emile Smith-Rowe in the center to track back and catch Kevin De Bruyne. Who is doing it? Now, if that happens on the wing, I'm okay, because that doesn't compromise central compactness. And this is the difference between a Buendia or an Aouar, very simply, where I think the question is, who do you prefer, Emile Smith-Rowe or Buendia? Now, that is where I really fundamentally have a problem. Now, if we're going to go to pure numbers, we can go to pure numbers with Houssam Aouar and we go with Buendia. If you're projecting him to be an attacking midfielder, he had 1 goal in the Prem in that position when he was in the Prem. So a lot of this success that we're predicting with Norwich, you need to look at the role. A lot of it, he's performed much higher up in the pitch in that right wing area. So when you're getting all of those goals, you're getting all of those chances created. He's playing the role of a right winger getting those. He's not playing the role of an attacking midfielder. And when he did it 1 goal in the Prem. Now, if you're looking at Aouar's chance creation, his shot creating actions, if you actually look at his statistics, he's in the 99th percentile of all midfielders, factually in shot creating actions. He does also in the 95th percentile for non-penalty assists. Now listen, they're very 2 different profiles. You're looking at Buendia, who is a on-the-ball stud. I've said it in the past, and anyone saying otherwise is using hyperbole. We aren't getting a bad player if we choose Buendia. I want to make that very clear. But the question becomes, if it's a gun to my head, who am I preferring, Emile Smith-Rowe or Buendia? Because that's going to be the decision. And who do I want limited? Well, it can't be Emile Smith-Rowe for me, because I think that kid has absolutely world-class potential in the middle. He's shown it. And ultimately, it's that defensive transition and central compactness. If we're looking at Arteta, what is his non-negotiable? It's simple. It's central compactness. So if I'm asking Buendia or Emile Smith-Rowe to catch Kevin De Bruyne on the run after we've lost possession, I'm counting my eggs on Emile Smith-Rowe every day of the week.
Yeah.
That's really where I stand on it.
I still feel like though you're underrating Buendia's work rate. Like even I saw some stat from Squawka the other day where when he was in the Premier League, they said that he's one of the few players to amass 50 plus chances created, 50 plus tackles, and there was something else. But I do feel like he can have that sort of effect and have that work rate going back too. Not to say that Smith Rowe doesn't have it, but I believe he does too. And my other question as well to you would be, do you think that we would get enough goals with Aouar, ESR, and Saka? Because of I feel like we're putting a lot of pressure on those two youngsters to get the goals that we need and the goals that we have missed for quite a while. So that's what I'd really ask.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I agree. But you know what? I look and I question Odegaard for this exact reason. So when I looked at the Odegaard profile, and you know, a lot of people were very excited when he came in. I told people he's a behind the ball expert, just like Buendia. But Buendia is better than Odegaard. Let's have that right now. I'm going to tell you guys, he has that ability to counter press. But really, what I'm getting is over large distances. I don't think Buendia has it over 15 yards. He can't do that, and that hammers a non-negotiable for me. So it's not really the work rate that I'm concerned with. I'm concerned in transition when it's in the middle. That's really what I'm fearful of. And when I add, you know, Thomas Partey in addition to that, I start to get worried because I think Thomas is going to be in the right side and he's going to be protecting that. So that center pitch needs to be really controlled. And I almost feel more comfortable with Emil dropping into that center than I do with Buendia. And I've seen it more with Emil than I have with even Buendia when he's been in the Prem. Now, in terms of goals, I am actually projecting that Saka is going to be a lot better with that type of profile. And when you actually look at Emil Smith Rowe with his physical development, if you track what he's doing right now, he's going to be on pace to score that kind of goal scoring attacking midfield profile. So I don't think I'm losing goals with that because I don't think Emi Buendia is going to be in the right wing where he's got his goals. That's where I think the big difference. If you're projecting him in the middle, it's a very different set of goals. And if you actually go through his Norwich goals, I did, and I actually did this just to prepare for this debate. He's got 4 goals in the center. If you actually look back over 2021 and you look at his goals, and 2 of those came from deflections. So most of his goals, if you do go back and look at Norwich, are bursting through the half space on the right. And I don't think he's going to be in that position if he's playing in our team. That's kind of the fundamental thing that I'm really scared about. So in that sense, I don't think the goals will translate as well as what we're saying unless you're replacing him for Saka.
I had a question. George, we're talking about Emil Smith Rowe versus Buendia and Aouar, but do you trust Emil Smith Rowe's fitness? Because for me, I feel like availability is actually one of the most important abilities as well. And he actually missed a lot of last season. I think he was meant to, be part of the first team from the start.
Yeah.
He didn't play until December against Chelsea, and we can't afford to have that again. Do you trust Emil Smith Rowe?
100%. He did this exact same thing at Huddersfield. If anybody followed kind of his career, so look, he's a youngster in need of physical development. But when you're looking at a team that's only got 1 game a week next season, the idea that he will struggle without another year or a preseason rather in the Prem, I don't struggle as much or fearful of that. And even if that was to be the case, again, I would love a backup depth signing, right? So I'm not against the idea of signing both Buendia and Aouar for that reason. And that's actually what I would advise if we were doing it. But again, the question becomes, though, who do you think has the potential to start over 60% of our games in that position? And who do you trust to do that role with the best that you've asked? And my pick is Emil Smith Rowe, because even if he is going to miss a couple games, he's going to be available for more than 70% of the season, for sure. And so if that's the gun to my head and I'm asking which one of the two, then I'm choosing Emil Smith Rowe for really the reason of transitions. Really, that's it. And also the projection in the middle. I haven't seen that with Buendia. Like, I know a lot of this right now is projecting Buendia can play in the center. And he can. Like, I don't want this to get across that he can't. But when he has played there, the statistics don't back up. So when you're citing the numbers, you have to cite where he's getting those numbers. and I need to look at partnerships on the pitch. And so for me, we have studs in that position in Saka. We have studs in that position already that I know we'll get the numbers, so I'm not afraid. It's more in the center and on the left. Where am I going to get those numbers?
Okay, so for me, I'd sign Aouar. For me, I'd keep, if we do play 4-2-3-1, just say 4-2-3-1. I'd keep Smith Rowe in the 10 because I think he'd be a better option for us in the 10 than Buendia. And on the left, I think Aouar is definitely better than Buendia. In a 4-3-3 at left centre mid or 4-2-3-1 as the left winger. He never stays far on the left anyways. He always cuts in and he acts, even when he's playing centre mid, he acts like a winger. And offensively, he cuts in, he pulls defenses out, and he always drops deep at times and finds himself unmarked. So he can find good pass into the striker, into the wing back. And I think he does that much better than Buendia, especially on the left. So for me, on the left, I'd sign Aouar. On the left, I'd sign Aouar. And if preferably, we'd sign both.
Yeah.